Alright, so I'm going to talk today about the Reflow oven project and the menu system I've got in place so far. And I thought to myself, I might as well add some exposure box functionality in there because it is a box, and I'll just 3D print some racks to put some boards on that can slide right in there, and I can expose two sides of a board at once, which would be nice. So that's why I've got the exposure option here. So the exposure screen is really simple. It's just a time that you set, and then you press start, or you decide you don't want to expose anything and you go home. The Reflow page here has a few options. This one's going to change. Status is actually which I put this here so that I could write the status menu and make sure it looked right. But the status screen is actually what's going to happen when you press start. So it just shows you the time remaining on the reflow, the current temperature, the target temperature, and the next temperature. And since I don't have a way home out of this, I got to power cycle it. So if you go to setup here, you see what you might expect to see for a reflow profile. You have a soak temperature, a reflow temperature, a ramp to soak temperature, ramp to soak, and ramp to reflow, and then a cool down ramp. And any one of these is editable by simply pressing down on the button. This one here took me a second to figure out, is the zeros caused me issues. I had to Google search how to format this right using sprintf. And if you want to see how I did it, please take a look at the code on the blog, which will be linked in the comments below. So the only thing I don't have on this screen is dwell, which I couldn't fit. So I put the dwell times on another screen, and again, it's just how many seconds do you want to dwell there? How many seconds do you want to dwell there? I Google searched, the common dwell times. So that's how I picked the defaults. The same for the temperatures and the ramps. I just Google searched common temperatures and ramps and set them defaults near and about that. So we'll talk about a couple things. One is how I keep track of where the user is on a page, and the way I accomplish that is I keep track of where this closing bracket is. So when I turn the knob, if I'm not in edit mode, which is triggered by pressing this button down while you're not on something that will change the screen, a switch case looks to see, is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Oh, well, that's where it is. Well, did you turn it right or left? Well, I must have turned it right. So it's going to change, well, the first thing it does is it takes and reassigns the brackets over here in the character array. So it changes it in the character array, and then the menu gets redrawn, or the page gets redrawn. Same thing, turn it right. And if, I've selected one of these and I'm changing the numbers, that's the same sort of sequence of events happens. It looks to see where is this bracket, and if it's here, then it knows that it needs to either increment or decrement the value based on the direction of rotation. And if it's over here on dwell, it knows it needs to go to the dwell screen, because that's what the switch case tells it to do. Right? So that's how I handle navigation. I thought it was a reasonable way to go about it. There may be better ways to do it, and if you know of one, I'd love to hear it. I'm not going to rewrite all this because it functions, but I'll definitely keep it in my back pocket for the next time I need to write a menu system. And that's pretty much where it is. I got to reset it because I don't have a way to get back to home just from right there. On this screen, the status is going to go away, and it's going to be replaced with a calibration page where if you've ever calibrated a thermometer, like a digital thermometer, by putting it in a glass of ice water, that's what this is going to do. And it's also going to be a place where you can set off a learn function where it will run through different manipulations of the elements, meaning if I pulse width modulate the elements at 90% on, then it knows that that's going to generate a certain amount of C per second increase. Whereas if I pulse width modulate it at 20% on from X temperature, it's going to know that that's going to generate a certain C per second decline. So there's going to be a learning function. I haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to accomplish that yet, but I look forward to tackling that problem. So I hope you find this useful or at least entertaining, and I hope you take a look at the blog where I'll talk more about the code, and there'll be plenty of snippets to show you how it works, as well as there should be a link to the folder where I keep all the source code for this. So you're welcome to take it and play with it and do what you want with it, as long as you recognize that it's not warranted and I'm not selling it to you. So I'll see you next time.